Before the story begins, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell, and prepare yourself for the darkness that follows. This is the Whispering Map. It started with a piece of paper that shouldn't have existed. A map, torn, burned at the edges, and marked with a strange black symbol that looked almost alive. I found it inside an old chest, buried under a collapsed cabin deep in the woods. I wasn't supposed to be there. No one was. The air that day felt heavy, almost wet, like it was holding its breath. I remember brushing the dirt off the paper, feeling a chill crawl down my spine as the symbol seemed to pulse for a split second. I laughed nervously, convincing myself it was just my imagination. It wasn't. Back at the motel, under dim yellow light, I unfolded the map again. It showed nothing familiar. No towns, no rivers, just strange, twisting paths leading to a mark labeled "The Silence Below." And right next to it, written in faded red ink, "Riches for those who dare, death for those who stay." That night, I called my two friends, Ryan and Cole. We chased myths before, mostly for fun. Old tunnels, ghost mines, hidden places that tourists whispered about. But this one felt different, felt real. Ryan laughed when I showed him the photo. "Probably some lunatic's idea of a prank," he said. Cole, on the other hand, stared at it in silence. After a long pause, he whispered, "I've seen that symbol before." When I asked where, he didn't answer. He just said, "Don't bring it here. Meet me tomorrow at dawn." That night, I dreamt of whispering voices, soft, endless murmurs calling my name from under the ground. When I woke up, there was dirt on my hands. Next morning, we met by the forest road. Cole looked pale, almost sick. He had an old leather journal in his hand. "I found this in my grandfather's attic," he said. He used to search for the same thing, the treasure beneath the silence. He flipped through the pages. Most were filled with strange sketches, tunnels, altars, symbols. One line stood out, scrawled in shaky handwriting. "The path opens only for those who bleed." I laughed again, nervously. Ryan didn't. We decided to go. We packed ropes, flashlights, water, and the map. The deeper we drove into the woods, the worse the air felt. Birds stopped singing. The forest grew too quiet. And then the static started. Our phones buzzed, screens glitching with black shapes that moved like shadows. Cole muttered, "It's starting again." That's when we saw it. A massive stone door, half buried in the ground, covered in the same black symbol from the map. The mark looked wet, as if freshly painted. But when I touched it, it was ice cold. Cole whispered, "This is it, the silence below." We stood there for a long moment, listening. There was nothing. No wind, no insects, no sound. Just the pounding of our own hearts. Then, from the other side of the stone door, something whispered back, said my name. The stone door didn't open when we pushed it. It breathed. At first, I thought it was the wind, but then, the cracks between the stones widened, and a deep, cold air rushed out, as if something exhaled from the other side. Ryan stepped back. "What the hell was that?" Cole's hand trembled, holding his flashlight. "It's waiting," he whispered. The symbol on the door began to shimmer faintly, and then it opened slowly, grinding against the earth like something ancient and alive. The darkness behind it wasn't just black. It was thick, almost tangible, like smoke that didn't move. We pointed our flashlights inside. A narrow staircase spiraled downward, carved directly into the stone. The walls were covered in scratches. Not symbols, not letters, just endless claw marks. Cole muttered, "Someone tried to climb out." We went in anyway. Each step echoed like a heartbeat. The deeper we went, the colder it got. At one point, Ryan's breath turned to mist. Our lights flickered. Then we heard it. Faint voices, whispering in the dark. Not words, just sounds, almost like laughter, far away. After maybe 10 minutes of descent, the stairs ended in a narrow tunnel. The walls there were wet, glistening with something that looked like oil. The air smelled metallic, like blood. Cole's flashlight hit something ahead. A wooden box, half the dirt. He ran to it, knelt down, and brushed away the soil. The same black symbol, burned into the lid. Ryan said, "Don't." Cole didn't listen. He opened it. Inside was a single, dried human hand, clutching a small gold coin. The whispers stopped. The silence that followed was worse. Then, from somewhere behind us, something moved. It wasn't footsteps, it was crawling. Slow, dragging, wet. Cole dropped the coin. Ryan grabbed my arm. "Run," he hissed. But we couldn't tell which way was up anymore. The tunnel seemed to twist, shift, like the stone itself was alive. My flashlight blinked once, twice, then went out. And in that perfect darkness, something cold brushed against my neck. A voice whispered, "You shouldn't have come back." We ran, or at least we thought we were running. In that tunnel, time didn't move the way it should. Every step echoed like it was coming from someone else's feet. The walls, they felt closer with every breath, like the earth itself wanted to swallow us whole. Ryan shouted, "This way!" But his voice didn't sound like his own anymore. It bounced around us, distorted, repeating, "This way, this way, this way," until I couldn't tell where it came from. Our lights flickered again, then steadied. When I looked around, Cole was gone, just gone. Only his flashlight was left on the ground, its beam pointing at the tunnel wall. And on that wall, fresh claw marks. Ryan whispered. He was right behind me, but before I could answer, a distant metallic sound echoed from the dark. Clink, like a coin dropping onto stone. Ryan turned toward it. "No, don't," I said. He didn't listen. He walked forward, and the moment he stepped out of the light, it was like the darkness swallowed him whole. 1 second he was there, the next nothing. I was alone, and that's when the whispering came back. Only this time it wasn't from one direction. It was everywhere, above, below, beside me. Hundreds of voices, murmuring at once. I pressed my hands to my ears, but it didn't help. The voices were inside my head now. They said my name. They said their names. And then one of them, in a soft, trembling tone, said, "We found the gold, but it wasn't meant to be taken." My knees went weak. The light started to fade again, until all I saw was a faint glow ahead. Not from my flashlight, but from something else. I followed it, step by step, until I entered a vast chamber beneath the earth. The ceiling was covered in roots that pulsed like veins, and in the center of the chamber stood an altar made of black stone. On it, piles of gold coins, ancient relics, jewelry, fortune. But every piece of gold had faces carved into it. Twisted, screaming faces. I should have run. I didn't, because in that moment, I heard something, a faint, hollow echo. Sounded like Ryan. He was whispering my name from somewhere beneath the altar. I knelt down, shining my light into a narrow crack at its base. There was movement. A pale hand reached out, trembling, covered in dirt. "Ryan," I whispered. He didn't answer. The hand was human until the fingers started bending the wrong way. And then, it pulled itself back into the darkness. A voice followed, deep and broken. "It's not gold. It's hunger." I couldn't see Ryan. Couldn't see Cole. I couldn't see the floor beneath my feet. The chamber had changed. It wasn't the same place we had entered. The walls were farther apart, stretching impossibly high. The ceiling disappeared into darkness, and the air felt alive. Every breath I took carried whispers, faint, urgent, desperate, and I realized they weren't coming from the walls. They were coming from the floor. Something moved beneath me, shifting shadows, like figures trapped in glass, reaching upward with hands I couldn't see. Eyes glowed faintly in the black, dozens of them, hundreds of them, watching. I tried to back up, but the ground shifted. The stone beneath me felt soft, almost liquid. A voice, deep and hollow, came from all directions. "You shouldn't have come." I ran, or tried to. The tunnel twisted endlessly, folding over itself. Every turn led me back to the altar room, the one with the gold. The faces in the coins stared at me, screaming silently. Then I saw Ryan, or what was left of him. He stood at the edge of a pit that wasn't there before. His eyes empty, black voids. And yet, he whispered my name, beckoning me forward. I didn't want to move, but the floor beneath me trembled, urging me, pulling me. I stepped closer. The pit was infinite. The darkness below roared, filled with whispers and cries. And then, a shape rose from it. Something humanoid but twisted, tall and thin, its limbs bending impossibly. It reached for me. I screamed, but no sound came. The light from my flashlight flickered and died. All I could hear now was the echo of 1,000 voices. Take the gold, join us, forever. And I understood. The treasure wasn't meant to be found. It was a trap, a lure, and we were already part of it. The air was heavy, almost liquid, pressing down on my chest with every breath. I had followed the faint glow from the altar room for what felt like hours, though I couldn't tell if it was time at all. The whispers, the voices of the hollow ones, surrounded me from every direction. They weren't shouting, not yet. They were patient, watching, waiting. Each step was a test. A misstep could draw them closer, could make them notice. The gold from the altar, the coins with twisted faces, gleamed faintly in the shadows. It was all still there, but I didn't want it. I had learned the truth. The treasure was not wealth. It was a trap, a lure, a snare for the greedy. And yet, I needed to know. I had to see what lay beyond this dark labyrinth. I moved forward, cautiously, listening to the echoes of my own heartbeat bouncing through the stone corridors. Every now and then, a faint touch grazed my shoulder or brushed my arm. I flinched, but there was nothing visible. Only the cold, a sensation, a presence. The walls began to shift. The tunnels we had passed through were rearranging themselves. Where once there was a straight passage, now there were spirals descending into unknown darkness. Where a wall had been solid, there were openings revealing bottomless pits. I came to a room unlike any I had seen. The ceiling stretched so high I couldn't see it. The floor was covered in a thick mist. In the center of the room was a pool of black liquid. It wasn't water. It was not reflective. It absorbed light. Even my flashlight faltered at its edge. And then I saw them, the hollow ones, figures rising slowly from the black liquid, humanoid but broken, limbs bending at impossible angles. They had no faces, only smooth, featureless heads. Yet somehow they were looking at me, watching, measuring. A whisper floated from the liquid. Join us. We are waiting. I stepped back. The ground shook. The pool rippled as though my movement had caused it to breathe. I realized something. Every figure I had seen before, every claw mark, every hand in the walls, every whisper, it was all part of this. A single consciousness, endless, ancient, hungry. I had one choice, flee or surrender. I turned to run, but the tunnels had vanished behind me. Every direction led back to the pool, to the altar, to the whispers. The hollow ones moved closer. I could feel the air thicken, as if gravity itself was stronger near them. I could hear voices in my head, thousands, speaking at once. You will become one. Take the gold, join us forever. I forced myself to focus. I remembered the map, the torn, burned map with its black symbol, pulsed in my pocket, alive, calling. I drew a deep breath, listening to the echoes of the hollow ones. Then I ran, not away, but toward the symbol. I pressed the map to the stone floor. The black symbol glowed. It spread like ink in water, flowing through the cracks, along the walls, up to the ceiling. The pool of black liquid boiled violently. Figures screamed in silence, twisting, bending, trying to escape the spreading symbol. I could feel their hunger clawing at me. Their hands reached for me, but I didn't falter. A light, white and pure, erupted from the symbol, consumed the room. The hollow ones shrieked, their forms collapsing into nothingness. The mist evaporated. The black pool cracked and split into shards that shattered like glass. I fell to my knees, gasping for breath. The room was still, silent, empty, but something remained. A faint, cold whisper in my ear. You have delayed us, but not ended us. I looked at the map in my hand. The black symbol was gone. Only the burnt edges remained. I walked toward the tunnel. It opened. The outside world. Sunlight. Real air. Trees. Birds. Life. I ran, not looking back. I didn't know if Ryan or Cole had survived. I didn't know if the hollow ones were truly gone. But I knew one thing. Some treasures are not meant to be held. Some maps are not meant to be followed. And some whispers are never meant to be answered.